and universities tuition-free. It is dealing with another crisis in higher education, and that is that millions of Americans, some young and some not so young, have oppressive and outrageous levels of student debt. Anybody here with student debt?
Yeah.
I just came from a meeting 2 hours ago where a young woman stood up and said she was $150,000 in debt. How much? Stand up, please.
$350,000. I went to medical school.
Okay.
And I started at maybe $200,000, and in less than 5 years, I'm up to $350,000 with interest.
Did you graduate medical school?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay. Now, it's funny you mentioned that. Are you practicing medicine now?
Yes.
Okay. It's funny you mentioned that, because I met a couple of years ago with a woman, young woman, who wanted to be a primary care physician. She went to medical school, she ended $300,000 in debt. I talked to a young woman in Iowa, went to dental school, and we desperately need more dentists in this country because we have a real crisis in affordable dental care. She graduated $400,000 in debt. We have people here $100,000 in debt. Stop and think for a moment. I mean, this is what I mean by the status quo. This is what I think about accepting the current reality. Why should people be punished severely, impacted for decades, for the crime of what? Trying to become a doctor? We desperately need more doctors. We desperately need a well-educated population. Our job is to encourage people to get as much education as they need, not discourage people. How dumb can we be? So what part of our agenda in higher education is not only to make public colleges and universities tuition-free, but also to allow people who are mired in large amounts of student debt, or student debt in general, to be able to refinance their debt at the lowest interest rates they can find. Whole lot of people out there paying 6, 8, 10% interest rates on their student debt, they can refinance their home at 3 or 4%. That makes no sense to me. We've got to change that and substantially reduce student debt in this country. You know, people say to me, Bernie, you're such a lovely guy, you're giving away all of these things. Now, how are you going to pay for this one? Pretty expensive propositions, about $70 billion a year to do what I want to do for higher education. And I will tell you exactly how we're going to pay for it. When Wall Street's greed and recklessness resulted in the collapse of Wall Street, Wall Street went running to the Congress and they said, oh, bail us out, bail us out. Congress gets my vote, bail them out. Now, I believe that it is time for Wall Street to help the middle class of this country, which is why I believe we should have a tax on Wall Street speculation. And that will more than pay for free tuition at public colleges and universities and significantly reducing student debt burdens. Now, what everyone has got to recognize, media doesn't talk about it very much, not part of our political discussion, is in the last 30 years in this country, there has been a massive redistribution of wealth. What do I mean by that? Now, my Republican friends get nervous when we talk about it, because they think maybe it means the rich are going to have to pay more in taxes. But what's happened in the last 30 years is a huge amount of wealth. Trillions of dollars have gone from the middle class to the top 1/10 of 1%, whose percentage of wealth has doubled. Middle class shrunk, top 1/10 of 1%, a doubling of the percentage of wealth they own. Now, when you have that type of massive inequality, wealth and income inequality, it is totally appropriate, in my view, to say to Wall Street, to say to corporate America, to say to the wealthiest people in this country, yes, you are going to have to start paying your fair share of taxes. Now, when we talk about our responsibility as adults, as parents, and as I said, I'm a grandparent of 7 beautiful children. When we talk about our responsibilities, I can't think of anything more important than making certain we do everything possible to leave this planet in a way that is healthy and habitable to future generations. That is a moral responsibility. I sit on the Senate Environmental Committee and the Senate Energy Committee. I have talked to scientists in this country and all over the world. The debate is over. Climate change is real. It is caused by human activity, and it is already causing devastating problems in this country and around the world. That's just the facts. Just the facts. And what the scientists are telling us is if we do not get our act together in a reasonably short period of time, if we do not make a massive transformation with regard to how this planet does energy, a bad situation will become much worse. And what they're telling us is there will be more drought, floods, extreme weather disturbances, acidification of the ocean, rising sea levels, and what the CIA tells us is there will be more international conflict as people around the world fight over limited natural resources, water, land to grow their crops, etc. That's where we are. To me, it seems that we have the moral responsibility to work with China, Russia, India, countries all over this world, to tell the fossil fuel industry that their short-term profits are not more important than the planet we're leaving future generations. We can and must, as a nation, transform our energy system and become a model for the world in moving toward energy efficiency and such sustainable energies as wind, solar, geothermal, biomass, and other forms of sustainable energy. Now, let me connect some dots here. It's an interesting point. And that is that I find it rather amazing that not one Republican candidate for president will come before you, will stand here at this podium and say, yeah, I agree with the scientific community. Yeah, climate change is a very serious problem, and we've got to do something about it. Now, how does that happen? How do you have virtually, few exceptions, but virtually an entire major political party that rejects science? And the answer is a pretty simple but sad answer. And that is when you have a corrupt campaign finance system, when you have a situation where if any Republican candidate talked about the reality of climate change, on that day, the Koch brothers, who have made most of their money through fossil fuel, ExxonMobil, the entire fossil fuel industry would say to that candidate, you are finished. You're not going to get any more campaign financing from us. So what I say to my Republican colleagues and the presidential candidates, worry more about the future generations of kids in our country and kids around the world. Worry more about them than where you're getting your campaign contributions. Do the wrong thing. When we talk about thinking big and not small, when we talk about looking beyond the status quo, let me raise one more issue with you, and I want you to think about it for a while. There is one major country on earth, one, that does not guarantee health care to all of its people. Now, I have been criticized rather severely in this campaign for saying what I will say to you right now. And that is, I believe that health care is a right of all people, not just a privilege. Now, I understand the power of the private insurance companies. I understand their power. I have been in Congress for 25 years. I understand the power of the pharmaceutical industry. But I believe if we stand together as a people, we can in fact take them on. We can in fact bring about a Medicare for all single-payer program. Now, I am a member of the committee that helped write the Affordable Care Act. And I believe the Affordable Care Act has done a lot of good things for the people of our country. We have done away with this obscenity of pre-existing conditions. You all remember that?
Yes.
This insanity by which the private insurance companies say, well, we'll insure you for anything except when you need it most. That's gone. We have expanded health insurance to some 17, 18 million more Americans, not a small thing. We have done away with discrimination against women who are being charged higher prices for the crime of being a woman. Okay? But, let's also be honest. Despite the gains of the Affordable Care Act, 29 million Americans have no health insurance today. Despite the gains of the Affordable Care Act, millions of Americans, including many in this room, I guess, are underinsured with high deductibles and high copayments. That right?
Yeah.
All right, what kind of deductibles do we have out there?
5,000.
6,500? Okay, anybody else?
5,000.
5,000? 7,000, okay. 13,000 for a larger family? Family of four? Okay. Now, what happens when people have high deductibles and they don't have cash in their pocket? What happens? They don't go to the doctor. And what happens when you don't go to the doctor?
You get
sicker. This is the insanity of a dysfunctional healthcare system.
Some even
It
die.
is not cost effective to say to people that you should not be able to go to the doctor when you need to go to the doctor. Not only does that prevent suffering, but it saves the system money. You don't go to the doctor, you get sick, you end up in the hospital at great expense to the system, and even worse. I have talked to too many doctors in Vermont and around this country who tell me that people walk into their offices much, much sicker than they should have been. And they say, why didn't you come in here 6 months ago when you first felt your symptom? And people would say, well, I have a high deductible, I couldn't afford it, or I didn't have any health insurance. Some of those people don't make it, because by the time they walk into the doctor's office, it is too late. We lose thousands and thousands of people a year who don't go to the doctor when they should. And then on top of that, you have the insanity of 1 out of 5 Americans not being able to afford the prescriptions their doctors write. Think about that for a second. How crazy a system is that? You go to the doctor because you're sick. Doctor makes a diagnosis. and you can't fill the prescription the doctors write. And then it turns out that the drug companies are charging us by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. Highest prices in the world. 1 out of 5 Americans can't afford to fill their prescriptions. Elderly people cut their pills in half. And last year, 3 major drug companies made $45 billion in profit. Trust me, if you elect me President of the United States, the pharmaceutical industry will not continue to rip off the American people. So here we are. Tomorrow is the New Hampshire primary. The first primary in this year's presidential campaign. The eyes of America will be on New Hampshire, and actually much of the world will be on New Hampshire. And the issue here is not just, who wins the primary. That's important. But what's more important is the vision that those candidates are espousing. Tomorrow, the people of New Hampshire will have the opportunity to say that enough is enough, that we do not want to continue living in a country in which a handful of billionaires are dominating a corrupt campaign finance system, in which we have a rigged economy, in which ordinary people work longer hours for low wages, and almost all new wealth and income is going to the top 1%. That we do not want to continue to sustain a broken criminal justice system in which we have more people in jail than any other country. So tomorrow's election, primary election here in New Hampshire, is very much about a vision for the future of our country. Tomorrow, New Hampshire can help lead this country in a very different direction, in the direction of a political revolution where millions of people will fight to make sure that we have a government that represents all of us and not just a handful of wealthy campaign contributors. Thank you all very much.
All right, here I am. Live bilingual, yes, definitely gonna help do that. Send it off to all the different Facebook groups and websites where people can't hear. so we can get the disabled vote as well. So very exciting. Yet again, Bernie's amazing. I love this guy, and I am going to have to go back out and deal with the snow here very soon. So all of you who are enjoying the beautiful weather in Santa Cruz, lucky you. Found out something kind of exciting. I am actually going to see about running, I should say, for the House of Representatives. How crazy is that? But Sam Farr is stepping down this year, and Sam Farr happens to be District 20, which is Santa Cruz, Monterey. And since I've been involved in politics and activism and advocacy for so many years in Santa Cruz, I think I actually might have a chance of getting the job, or so to speak, the position. I'm that inspired by Bernie. He's amazing. And I would advise anyone and everyone who is in love with Bernie and really thinks that we need to have a political revolution and takes Bernie's words to heart about that we need to do this together. Every seat in Congress, in the House of Representatives, is actually up for election this November. So anyone and everyone out there who's feeling the burn, let it burn you up. It's actually a really good paying job too. I'd make $174,000 a year. Certainly don't need that much money to live on. I mean, I'd be happy with like $2,000 a month, but which means I get to spend all that money on lots of fun stuff for people in Santa Cruz. Permaculture, affordable housing. I'll just invest my own money in that kind of stuff. So this is the beginning of my plugs for running for the House of Representatives here. And definitely all about sustainability, accountability. I'm going to have live streams, going to talk to people, have the whole town hall meetings, and be streaming stuff. I'll probably have like a Reddit website where you can put your ideas, and those ideas will Congresswoman Rose, yeah. You put those ideas on a board, and people will vote those ideas up, and I will certainly be, as I always have been, a person who is an advocate for the people. For the people, by the people, with the people. Definitely not an egomaniac. So I look forward to being able to be a representative for our beautiful Santa Cruz County and Monterey County. All right. Well, I guess that's probably enough for now. I'm pretty tired. I slept about 5 hours last night. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. But I'm going to have a website up soon. Going to have a crowdfunding up soon. I think I might have to pay a couple of $1,000. I don't know exactly how much money it is to run for representative, but I'm going to need to raise some money and get some signatures if I'm going to be running. And if anyone wants to help me with my campaign, how fun is that to say? I'd love to have your help. I'll be needing research to figure out what I even need to do. It's kind of all new to me. But as an entrepreneur and an advocate for human rights, animal rights, earth rights, for at least 20 years, 18 years old, I started getting involved in the political process. I fell in love with hemp, and hemp will certainly be legal. I will not veto it like Jerry Brown vetoed it. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Do whatever's best for marijuana. If it's decriminalize it, legalize it, whatever we need to do for that, I will certainly stand on that. I will say no to fracking, absolutely. I would like to actually even return the resources to the people. The commons, I believe that was called back in the day. Yeah, we'll stand for the resources belonging to the people. Definitely I'm a pro-peace person, so very anti-war, but pro-peace. I like to be pro about my beliefs as opposed to anti, because we need to be focusing on the goal, what we do want, as opposed to focusing on what we don't want. So, yeah. Of course, clean technologies, of course, campaign finance reform, equal pay, all that stuff, whatever Bernie, pretty much everything that Bernie stands for, I'm so in support of his platform that you can be sure and absolutely positively certain that I will be standing beside with Bernie on everyone so far, every one of the things that he stands for. Also believe for sure in gun control. Definitely want there to be a background check. Maybe if I can figure out if we get enough people together to create rental control so we don't have to deal with the gentrification that's been going on in Santa Cruz. So those of us who might not want to make like a ton of money or just is happy enough with our simple jobs of, I don't know, putting flowers together, growing flowers, farmers, but we want to live in beautiful Santa Cruz. I don't think that we need to be like a six-figure tech person in order to be able to live in beautiful Santa Cruz. I think it should be a place where anyone and everyone has the opportunity to live. So I will definitely be supporting rent control. And whatever else my constituents would want. Of course, as long as it is in alignment with the most people getting what they need, not necessarily everyone getting what they want. Definitely the whole factory farming, that will be out. I would love to have cameras on cops. I would love to have cameras in factories. I will definitely make sure workers' rights are protected. I will make sure living wage for people, home leave for women when they have babies, or for the men if they decide they want to be the ones to stay home with their babies. Drug reform, instead of drug reform, be rehab for people instead of people going to jail. Definitely want to eliminate the whole privatized jail systems. So yeah, like I said, a lot of what Bernie believes are things that I believe in, which is why I am so gung-ho on this campaign and so ridiculously excited to be a part of this. And I look forward to seeing how much more excited you guys are going to get and who might want to run or who might want to help me with my campaign. So you all got kind of one of my first biggest plugs, definitely my biggest plug. And I look forward to hearing more about what you want and how I can best serve you. Right now, how I could best serve this campaign and get you the most and the best information. Bernie rocks. I'm in love, ridiculously in love. Never thought at my youthful age that I would say I'm in love with a 74-year-old man, but I am. And of course, it's just a heart thing. It's a heart, it's a soul, it's a belief, it's a value, it's a moral. Jane, of course, is absolutely amazing. Love you, Jane. If you ever wind up reading this or seeing this, adore you. You're absolutely vibrant and vital and gorgeous, and I'm so happy that you have the most amazing man standing beside you. And that you, I am certain, are an amazing woman, supporting him through all this. It's definitely crazy. I could see it. It must be nuts for you, and I thank you and honor you so much for standing by your man. I think you are going to make an incredible First Lady, and I look forward to working with the both of you in the very near future. All right, there's my plug for now. I love you all, and I will see you in the future, near future. And now I got to go brave this storm. So say a prayer for me, please, that I get home safe. And I'll see you on the flip side. All right, bye for now. Peace as always. Toodaloo.